Why are you escalating the situation, Chief? Yeah, because you're telling me my business is done.
Right now, you have to leave.
So you're saying if I don't leave, I'm going to be arrested?
Sir, I'm telling you right now, you have to leave.
Is it a lawful command?
Your choice on whatever you wanted to do.
No, I'm saying if it's a lawful command, I will leave.
So we have the latest with the Robbins former acting police chief, Carl Scott, and what he did to the YouTuber Tyrant Terminator audits. If you're not familiar with this case, I'll show you a little bit of my last video right now.
So I want you all to brace what may happen in the next couple of weeks. Something might be released, maybe not. All right, but it was important that I sit before the people, act like I can't be up here and act like ain't nothing going on. Something going on.
So he grabbed me by the back, slammed me up against the wall in the corner, and he opened up this door to the back, and he told the two officers to cut the cameras off.
We're only going to use his first name, James, as he says he's still coping with trauma.
How you doing, officer?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good.
It's an exchange James has had countless times.
You cannot videotape Cook County
where he films interactions with officers.
You're not arrested, but you can't stay here all day.
His approach is straightforward. He films interactions lawfully with law enforcement officers and public employees to ensure that they respect citizens' First Amendment rights. And the biggest issues that you see on his channel and many other audit channels is the scary fact that law enforcement and public employees do not understand the laws that they're supposed to be trying to protect.
On July 1st, a visit to Robbins Village Hall, he says, spiraled out of control when he came face to face with former acting police chief Carl Scott.
He pulled out his personal phone, he started recording me, and I told him that I was going to get a FOIA for that video that he was making, and I was there to, file a complaint.
The mayor contacted the Cook County Sheriff's Public Integrity Unit, launching an investigation. Choosing not to wait for the outcome of that investigation, Mayor Bryant moved to fire Scott. But before that could fully take shape, we're told the acting chief submitted his resignation.
Did you think this is it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Especially when he asked the officer to go get a baton, man. I was like, oh, he's gonna probably beat me to death.
Photos taken after James was released, where he was issued a nuisance-related charge, appear to show severe bruising and swelling to his face, which he says was accompanied with severe headaches.
Let's check out the update.
Now to breaking news in South Suburban Robbins, where the former acting police chief is facing criminal charges. Our Andrew Ramos broke this story last month. 47-year-old Carl Scott was on duty last month when a man known as Tyrant Terminator Audits on social media walked into the police station to file a complaint against him related to an earlier incident. That is where the trouble started. A man whose real name is James walked into the police station and started recording with his cell phone. The encounter then turned. Scott is accused of calling two other officers to help. They were issuing a ticket for public nuisance. When they took James to be fingerprinted, the chief allegedly knocked the man's cell phone to the ground and hit him. He's also accused of shoving this man, and it escalated when they went into the interview room.
He took me in his room, slammed me down on like this little metal plate where you sit at, and he told the two officers to cut the cameras off.
Who are the two other officers? I haven't seen any names. I don't know. Are they charged with anything? It seems to be a little odd that, okay, Carl Scott deserves to be charged, but what happened to the other officers?
And they just started beating me.
He accuses Scott of repeatedly hitting him in the head while the two other officers watched. Court documents state that Scott dropped James's cell phone into a sewer outside the police station, where it was later recovered. If convicted, Scott faces up to 5 years in prison.
The recent charges against Robbins' former acting police chief Carl Scott paints a troubling picture of law enforcement in the south suburbs of Illinois, an area already burdened with a reputation of corruption and misconduct. For those who are familiar, this area has become a breeding ground for scandals that undermine the public trust in those who are sworn to protect and serve the community. And these allegations are extremely disturbing. Carl Scott is accused of physically assaulting a man who came to the police station to file a complaint against him. Quickly escalated with Scott knocking James' phone to the ground, shoving him, and ultimately taking him into a room where he beat him. The most alarming part of this incident is the fact that two other officers were present, reportedly instructed to turn off the cameras before the alleged beating began. Why are these other officers not charged? These officers have not been charged or even named in the same breath as Scott. This raises a significant question. Why haven't they faced any legal consequences? This pattern of behavior is not just about one rogue cop. It reflects a deeper systematic issue within law enforcement, especially in the South suburbs and these law enforcement agencies. The involvement, or more accurately, the lack of accountability for their involvement of those two officers in the rooms suggests a toxic culture environment with this police department. In many cases, the silence of those who witness such acts is just as damaging as the act itself. All police officers are sworn to protect the public. By failing to intervene or even report the misconduct, these officers effectively condone the violence, allowing it to happen unchecked. Maybe they all share the same anger and resentment towards the YouTuber that was just trying to exercise his First Amendment rights. This isn't just a failure of leadership at the top, but a rot that seems to have permeated throughout the entire Robbins Police Department. The South suburbs of Illinois have long struggled with corruption, with many cases of police misconduct and public officials abusing their power. Talking about the village of Dalton, talking about the city of Harvey. The situation in Robbins is just the latest in a series of scandals that have rocked this region. The public deserves better, but the repeated failures of the system make it hard to believe that change is on the horizon. How many more incidents like this need to happen before there's some real change? As we discuss the details of this case, we must not lose sight of the bigger picture. The charges against Carl Scott are serious and should be thoroughly investigated, and he should face accountability for his actions. But we also need to scrutinize the actions or inactions of the two officers that were present and the police department entirely. These officers and their lack of accountability sends a dangerous message that there's no consequences for standing by while a fellow officer crosses the line. You don't really have an effective police department. You don't even have one at all. Basically, it's just a gang. The case of Carl Scott and the Robbins Police Department should be a wake-up call not just for the South suburbs, but for all of Illinois. This is a systematic problem that needs some solutions. We must ask ourselves why those in power are allowed to abuse their authority with such impunity, and why the systems designed to check the power seems to fail time and time again. Until we address these questions, the cycle of corruption and violence will continue, leaving the public to pay the price. I hope Carl Scott faces accountability for what he did. I don't know if Tyrant Terminator has placed a lawsuit against the city of Robbins. Is probably going to do that. He's probably going to win. This was ridiculous, and it was totally unnecessary. Public officials need to understand the First Amendment, and they need to know what that really means. That's why First Amendment auditors are out there, because many people who are hired to serve the public don't even understand the Constitution. They don't even understand the First Amendment. That's why they're there. And to react in this way, such a barbaric, crazy way, just makes everyone look terrible. What do you guys think about this story? Put in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.